Okay, um, we're just gonna roll right into part three of my experience, my whole college experience in general. And, I know that even though I'm not getting a lot of views, I know someone's listening to me. Um, and so that's why I'm gonna keep going. So, the last time I, you know, I spoke to, just like, I spoke to you guys about what happened sophomore year and, the Christian ministry I was a part of, how the ICOC got involved. So now we're gonna head into my third year. My third year of college. We're just gonna start off with what happened after sophomore year. So, like, over the summer, I went back home for a couple of months. And then, I guess, like, the next few months after that, I basically started my co op. Um, so, I basically did, like, a small internship with this company for, like, 6 months. And yeah, it started from July to December. And I just thought, like, yeah, like, this is great. You can make money and go to school. I guess, like, going into it, like, the Christian ministry I was a part of my second year, like, I was still in contact with some of the people there, but to be honest, I had no interest in going back there at all. I think, like, for me, I guess one of the hard things for me was that, I knew that this Christian ministry wasn't following the Bible, but I invested a whole year into this ministry. So in my mind, I was like, why did I stay there for so long? What the heck? And this idea of, loneliness and all that, they make it out to be such a horrible thing when it all has to do with your mindset and how you're feeling at the moment. If you're able to keep yourself in a good mindset while you're lonely, then that's great. Like, power to you. But I can understand why some people are worried, because some people, their mindset may not be as strong and it's weak. And, on top of that, it can make people, like, do crazy things. But for me, like, oh, gosh. Dang. I think for me, like, I'm so proud of myself for staying strong in the midst of adversity and for really just pushing through. I lived with two girls in this ministry for, like, a semester. And it was the weirdest thing. They were a part of that Christian ministry. And one of them one of my roommates at the time during the fall semester, she said, you know, she believes abortion is healthcare. And then I had another roommate who basically would have sex in the apartment, and like it was the type of like sex that you can like hear. Like it's not like she's trying to be quiet about it, like you can hear it. But at least she had her own room. So yeah, from sophomore year, I just knew I had to get out of that Christian ministry space, and I had to figure out like where I was going to go next. And so I thought like, hey, I know this person who's in CRU. Why don't I just go to the chapter of CRU at my university and start over there? So why not? Why not do that? And yeah, I knew someone who was going to CRU at the time. So I texted her and I said, hey, I would love to stop by one of your CRU meetings. Like, let me know, like, what time you guys meet. So she told me the time, the day, and the place. And yeah, like basically I went to CRU. I went to one of their meetings. I should have known from that first meeting that I had to get out. Why is it that during that first meeting, yeah, I remember I was on campus. I went to the room that they were meeting at, and yeah, like as soon as I came into the room, there was like this energy. And I thought to myself, like, wait a minute. Like, I go into the room, I sit down, and some people are like saying hi and whatnot. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, like, the girl who invited me to come to the CRU meeting, she didn't say a word to me. Like, I sat down in the room and she didn't even bother to say hi or anything. Like, how am I doing? She just like, it was like she was ignoring me. It was the weirdest thing ever. And at the time, I just like, I thought it was weird, but I just ignored it. God have mercy. Why did I ignore that? I don't know. I remember no one was really talking to me during the meeting, but there were these two black girls they were talking to me basically. And yeah, they were just telling me like, hey, like they were just like introducing themselves to me, and I thought like, hey, like, these girls are pretty nice. Like, I should stay in CRU. Like, I should, stay here. I mean, like, after the first meeting, we went to go get bubble tea, and yeah, I remember everyone in crew went, and so did the two girls that said hi to me. So, I remember we were walking to get bubble tea, and it was me and the two girls and one other girl. We were all black, if I'm being honest. And yeah, we were just walking with the rest of the people in crew. And mind you, like, crew is predominantly white. And so I saw this thing where it was like all of the white people were like walking ahead of us, and we were just walking behind them in the back. And I was just like, this is kind of weird. Um, but at the same time, I just didn't really think anything of it. When we got to the bubble tea shop, okay, this is where I knew there was a problem. I'm thinking to myself, we're all gonna sit at the same table, we're gonna push tables together, and we're all gonna talk to each other. Mind you, at the same time, um, it was so weird. It was like, and I'm being really honest with you guys because I can't make this up. You know, all of the black girls were sitting at one table, and then all of the white people decided to sit at another table. And it was like this weird thing where it was like, I wanted us to all sit at the same table, but at the same time, I saw this division. It was like, I was the only one who noticed it. Well, apparently I wasn't the only one, but I'll get to that later. And yeah, like, oh my God, like, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but like, basically, like, there was racism in this group. I'm just gonna say it blankly. It was very implicit, like how it is nowadays in America, where people are just really subtle. Um, but I have no doubt that there were people in this group that were really racist. And although someone's not telling you the N word, although people aren't saying, like, I don't want to hang out with that girl because she's black, or whatever it is, like, there were people in that group that were racist. And I know that if one of them, just one of those people, listened to this video, they would get so triggered by what I'm saying because they don't want to admit the truth. It was a pretty racist group. I mean, you know, um, they say, like, um, whenever you have like a huge group of white people together, there's always going to be a little bit of racism, whether it's like a microaggression or whatever. And that just comes from the conditioning from our society, basically putting white people on top, and it's like, okay, everyone else there's like this pyramid. It's like the black people are on the bottom, so to say. And the reason why I have to talk about this is because, like, this is what my spirit was telling me, like, over and over and over. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'd rather be by myself than put myself around toxic energy. Like, I will not say it again. Like, this is the truth. And some people, they'll get turned off, they'll get scared for you, but let them be scared, because I'm not scared for myself. This is like no joke. Gosh, like, if I'm being honest, I'm recording this whole video while I have to, fight a headache. And I'm trying to, like, stay strong, so I'm gonna finish this. Yeah, like, it was the weirdest thing. Seeing racism in front of your eyes and feeling like, wait, it can't be there. Like, it's not there. But then I think about the number of black people that are in the group, and then I think about the diversity of the group, and I think, yeah, there's a reason why your group isn't diverse. Like, you're implicitly racist. And I have to call it out for what it is. Gosh, I can't. That was a weird meeting. But to be honest with you guys, I kept going back to CRU. Those two girls were really nice to me. And I thought, like, hey, like, it can't be so bad. But at the same time, even though I was working that semester, even though I was going to CRU, I was planning on studying abroad. So I didn't really know how many deep connections I could make. But if I'm being honest with you, the girl that invited me to CRU, people saw her as, like, this mom. Like, she was, like, the leader of the group. Even though she wasn't necessarily the president, she was the leader. And this girl she had a way of, like, influencing people where if you were a part of the clique, then you were a part of the clique. Like, from what I understand, like, and from my understanding with my experience with CRU, they were cliquey, of course, because, they were a clique. I'm not going to apologize for that. But, yeah, this group had a clique. And in order to be in that clique, I'm going to be honest with you guys, you needed to get accepted by her. Like, this girl that invited me to CRU, like, she needed to like you. If she didn't like you, then you weren't going to be a part of the clique. I'll be honest with you, some people hate me for no reason. My spirit would tell me so many times that something was off with this girl, and I would ignore it. But now that I'm in the place that I'm in now, I can't doubt myself anymore. I have to trust myself, and if I'm telling you that that girl was weird, she was weird. If I'm telling you that this person is toxic, they were toxic. And I don't care. I'm not going to doubt myself because of that. And if you can't validate what I'm saying, then you are toxic to me, because I have to trust myself even when no one else can. Honestly, like, it's ridiculous. So, I guess what happened next was, I don't know, it's weird. My experience with CRU that first semester was kind of weird because I wasn't really going to the meetings as much because I knew it was very cliquey. But at the same time, I was also going to study abroad next semester, so what was the point? Um, but I mean, that group was so weird. The fact that I stayed for so long, I just want to give myself like a thump on the head because, I don't want to blame myself too much because, hey, anyone could have stayed in a group for so long that they didn't realize that that group wasn't healthy for them. But I think one thing I can tell you guys was I did have a crush on a guy in this group. Oh my goodness, that was the worst mistake of my life. You know how you can be attracted to someone and you're thinking to yourself, what are you doing? Like, why are you attracted to this person? But to be honest with you guys, the guy that I was attracted to in CRU, like, he was good looking. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, he was good looking, and you know, when you're attracted to someone by their looks, like, that's such a natural thing. I can't even blame myself for it. But I also have to tell you that he was also one of the reasons why I stayed in that group for so long. He was one of the reasons why. And honestly, I can't be mad at myself for that because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But he was a part of that clique. And yeah, when you're a part of a group that was cliquey as the one at my campus, it's really going to affect you. It's going to affect you mentally. It's going to affect you spiritually. Because, coming out of a Christian ministry that didn't follow the Bible and, going into CRU, like, in between, I was really depressed. I was like, God, like, I thought this was the one group for me. Like, why weren't they the one? Like, why couldn't they be the one? And I'll be honest with you guys, being in CRU, it really did have an effect on my mental health. Like, because they were so cliquey, I felt like I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough to be a part of their group. I wasn't enough to be a part of their clique. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? I have no shame. I'm going to say this. CRU is one of the reasons why I almost went back to the ICOC. They're one of the reasons why. And I have no shame in saying that because they are. And whether they want to admit that or not, doesn't matter. Because once I tell you more about what happened next, you'll see that they are the reason why people are so repelled by Christians in general. I mean, when I first joined CRU, the staff, I mean, like, they were really nice. I mean, they have to be nice. Or else you're not going to, like, get in. They have to be nice. But for me, like, just thinking to myself, like, what can I do? I mean, like, there's only so many Christian groups on campus that you can, like, go to. Like, most of them are separated by ethnicity. Like, so they have, like, Asian Christian clubs, you know, then there's, like, different religions, like Hindu Christian clubs, Islam. So, I mean, I had to do something. I had to do something. And so what could I do? I decided to stay. That's what I did. Honestly, CRU is so weird. I really, I think one of the things that really opened my eyes was just seeing how some of the members were really affected by this group emotionally. One of the Black girls that I was friends with at the time, I remember, you know, talking to her about like, hey, like, why is CRU so cliquey? Like, what's wrong with them? And I remember she said to me, she literally started crying. And she said, you know, I don't know. Like, I've been in this group for 2 years and it upsets me. It's horrible. And, you know, at the same time, I'm like, what the heck? I kept thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this CRU has made her cry. These people have made her cry. And it's ridiculous. I'm going to have to give her a name. So I'll name the 2 Black girls, Brittany and Brianna. And Brianna was the girl that was crying to me about, like, you know, how cliquey CRU is. I remember there was this one day Brittany was telling me, like, you know, she was just so annoyed at how cliquey CRU was. She told me that Brianna went to a prayer group meeting with them, and they were planning on going on a retreat to New Hampshire. And while she was, you know, at the prayer group meeting, they didn't even invite her. Like, what the heck is that? So basically, Brianna was at this prayer group meeting or whatever. I don't know if they were praying. I don't know. I know it was some kind of prayer group meeting. And they were planning on going on a retreat to New Hampshire. And they didn't even ask her if she wanted to come. They were planning everything right in front of her face. And they didn't even ask her if she wanted to come. Do you know what that does to you emotionally? And how that makes you feel that you're not enough? I don't care what anyone says. That group, the people that I'm talking about who are in this group, and they know who they are, like, you guys need to repent. I don't know what you need to do, but you guys need to repent. I don't know. Anyways, so basically, you know, I knew it was really cliquey at the time, and, you know, CRU, they had this intern. She was white. Um, she was really nice. I felt like in terms of like, that first semester, she would try and invite me to events and be like, oh, come to cruise this, come to cruise that. What's the point of me going to an event where people are just going to be so cliquey? And I think this is where I'm going to start talking about, making sure that your Christian fellowship is like cult proof, because this is the one of the reasons why people leave CRU and they end up in a even worse situation. Oh my goodness. And I am the prime example of that. Oh my God. I really tried so hard with CRU. That first semester with CRU, I remember just like trying to get to know people. I was in a women's group in CRU, and half of the time the group was so quiet. It was like the weirdest thing. I mean, I get it, like when you're in a Bible study, no one really talks, but it's kind of like, I think we really need to ask ourselves, have we created an environment where people are free to openly say what they want to say without criticism? Or are you making them comfortable? Are you breaking the ice? Like, I know they have like icebreaker games, but like sometimes to know whether a group is comfortable or not is just knowing, like, how do they make the environment feel? And one thing about this girl who invited me to CRU, I'm going to name her Angela. One thing about Angela is that when you are around her presence, like even at these women Bible studies group, she could just be a little bit cold. Just a little bit. I mean, at times, there were times where she like really helped me out. I'm not going to lie. But there were also times where she was just really cold. I remember that first semester of CRU, just feeling like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but, I have to say it. This group was called Agape. And ironically, they can't live up to their name. It's sad. If you're calling your group Agape, you are saying that, and this is my opinion, our group is love. Like, you are naming your group the highest form of love. It's the love of God for man and of the man for God. Like, it's the highest form of love. Why name your group the highest form of love if you can't even like live up to it? So yeah, this group was racist. I'm just gonna say the whole group was racist just because of the vibes that I got. But like, they were racist, they couldn't live up to their name. And, I think they really affected a lot of people emotionally and mentally, me as well. And, I think for me, like, I'm trying to like, I'm trying to like, I guess I'm trying to like, I'm trying to see if like can I stay in this group? Is it going to get better if I just tell one of the staff what's going on? So I told one of the crew interns, and yeah, now that I think about it, looking back, telling her didn't really do anything. I remember I told her, like, hey, some of the people in crew are going to leave because they feel like it's too cliquey. Like, is there anything you can do? And I remember she told me, she said, well, can you give me the names of the people? And I said, no. Why would I give you the names of the people if they are not the ones? Oh my goodness, this was so stupid. I should have seen this like up front, but like, you can't ask me to tell you the names, because if they can't come forward to you about this, then there's a reason for that. I never told her the names. She told me she was gonna ask everybody about their experience in crew. And yeah, that was it. And when I mean like racist, I mean like towards Black people, because I have to look at this from a Black person's perspective because I'm Black. But also, like, when we look at the racial hierarchy, Black people are on the bottom. So I'm going to look at this from a Black person's perspective. That's fine. I remember, just thinking to myself, like, what am I going to do? I mean, like, this group was so awful. And, I feel like I'm just going with the flow here because I didn't really take notes before I did this video. But I knew I was just going to connect to my memory, and I was just going to tell you guys everything that happened. But short story short, like, this group was toxic of itself. And, I'm really lucky that after that semester, I got a chance to study abroad for like 5 months in Italy. It was the best semester of my life. And looking back to it, it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad I went to college. And it's one of the semesters I'm always going to look back on. It's the semester where I felt so free. And yeah, this group wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. And this video is probably going to be longer than I thought because I'm probably going to, I'm not going to talk about my study abroad semester, but I will have to jump into my 4th year. So my 3rd and my 4th year are going to be a part of this video. I'm trying to think if there's anything about that first semester that I should mention. Oh, CRU also had these morning prayer, meetings. And, since it's an event sponsored by CRU, I thought, like, hey, I should go to one. So I went to the first one. And yeah, that's where I met this guy. His name, I'll probably call him Robert. Like, Robert, like, I felt like we really clicked and connected during that time. And yeah, Robert, he was really chill. He was actually inside the clique when I joined. Like, they actually wanted him to be a part of the leadership team. But he said no for some reason. But, like, yeah, we really clicked that first semester. And so I think praying with him really helped. But I also did tell him that the group was cliquey and that, you know, they can't live up to their name. And so what the heck was I supposed to do? Am I gonna just be quiet? Like, and I'll say again, when I say the group is racist, I'm not really saying that everyone in the group was racist, but I'm going to say that the group was racist because of the climate and the atmosphere of it. Not everyone in the group was racist, just to point out. But just the atmosphere and the climate of it, I don't know if you can understand from that, point. But, yeah, I think, I decided to study abroad next semester. So, there I was. I just studied abroad and, I just took time off. So I guess let me just fast forward to my fourth year. This was the year where my fourth year was the year I got recruited by the World Mission Society of God and the International Christian Church. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that because you guys need to hear this because these people are so sneaky. But yeah, I remember, my fourth year, even though like I had such a cliquey experience with CRU last year, I thought, you know what, maybe things are different now. Why don't I just join again? Why don't I just, keep up the happy energy and, just keep going. I will say at the time, I wasn't going to the church that I was a part of my second year. I had so many church issues. I feel like I should probably just save that for another video. But I really just want to talk about CRU and those two cults. So, let's see. The first semester of CRU, when I got back from Italy, I'll be honest with you guys, it was pretty good. So many people changed. Like, the guy that I had a crush on, he was different. But then there were some people that changed, not for the better, but for the worse. The two girls that I was friends with when I first joined CRU, they were so nice. But all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but that fourth year, they became toxic. Oh my goodness. They became toxic. It was shocking to me because, when you study abroad, like, you're away and things change when you're gone. But, like, oh my goodness, this group was so toxic. So, basically, from what I remember, Um, you know, I just, I think for me, like, I'll be honest with you, so many things changed. Like, Robert, the guy that I was friends with who was in the clique, was all of a sudden outside of the clique. It was like the weirdest thing. It was like all of a sudden he was close with these people, and then all of a sudden he was on the outside. And I kept thinking to myself, like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Um, like, I, yeah, like, I didn't really know what to do at the time. You know, I was, I was friends with the guy I had a crush on, and you know what? Let me just talk about him in this recording because I'm tired of people gaslighting me to make it seem like this guy is the most perfect Christian you'll ever meet. When I met this guy last year, it was like he knew I existed, but like he didn't really talk to me at all. And then all of a sudden, he goes on this mission trip. You know, this is kind of funny. He goes on a mission trip to South Africa. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really know. I hate to say this, but like, I don't really know if he's around black people a lot, but you know, he went on this mission trip to South Africa. And for me, like, all of a sudden, he just, you know, started talking to me again. And I don't just mean like talking to me like casually. Like, there will be times where I would go to meetings, you know, in CRU, and yeah, he would just, you know, come down and sit next to me and like, you know, start a conversation. And when you start a conversation with this guy, like, he will give you like direct eye contact. Like, can you imagine how that might feel for me, knowing that I had a crush on him and knowing that he was gonna, you know, start a conversation with me regularly at Agape, which is what the group was called. It was called Agape. I I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I'm gonna call this guy, I'm gonna call him Andrew. Um, you know, Andrew's the reason why I stayed in this group for another year, basically for my whole fourth year. And you know, this guy, you know, he gosh, I don't really know what to say, but like he was basically leading me on. I remember I actually told him how I felt. Um, I know this is so unrelated to the cults. I will get to them, but I will have to say this, like, I have to talk about him because this is what I don't like about some Christian groups. You say that you're not perfect, but mentally you think certain people are more perfect than others. Um, I remember telling this guy how I felt, and just the stoic face he gave me. Like, I told him how I felt over video chat. Like, the stoic face he gave me. It was just like, I told him how I felt. I told him how I felt. I told him how I felt. And he tells me, oh, he says, you know, I can't remember exactly what he said. He said something along the lines of, I believe God's calling me to be single. Listen to what I just said there. He said, I believe God's calling me to be single. So in my mind, I'm like, so what the heck does that mean? Because this is what a lot of women go through when someone's not being direct and saying, I don't like you in that way. They'll go and say, oh, well, God's calling me to be single. Or, whatever. And it's just like, okay. You want to know what the worst part was? I asked him, I said, he has a really touchy-feely personality, not like in a weird way, but it's like he loves to give hugs. He just loves to, touch people in a loving way. And as someone who had a crush on him, that made it 10 times worse. There was one time, oh my goodness, I didn't even ask him. I didn't even say anything to him. I was standing right next to him. I cannot make this up, you guys. We were in the same kitchen area, and he just took his hand and rubbed my back. Not like for like a long time, but like for like 5 seconds or so. And I thought to myself, like, like, why is this guy touching me like this? Like, and then I confronted him about that. And you know what he tells me? He says, well, that's just my personality. And I'm just like, in my mind, I was like, that's off. But you know why what he said was so off? It's because it was so prideful. So prideful. My goodness. Here I am liking this guy, and he struggles with so much pride. It makes so much sense. But let's forget about him, and let's just move on to... Actually, I'm just going to move on to the International Christian Church and the World Mission Society of God. I really hope you guys can, just hang in there with me, because my story is too long for me to just, babble. So I'm just going to have to make different videos. But basically, the World Mission Society of God, how was I recruited by them? So I remember I was in the student center on campus, and I was thinking about whether I was gonna get tea. My school had this like vending machine for like tea. And I remember, I was just looking at the sign, and all of a sudden these two girls walk up to me. One of them is like black, and then the other girl's like I don't know what her ethnicity was. But, one thing I notice about these cults, I mean, this doesn't happen all the time, but when they're looking to recruit people, they're going to be in pairs. Like, the ICOC does it, they're going to be in pairs. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's not, but like, I'm telling you guys, they come in pairs. She came up to me, she was like, "Hi," and I was like, "Hey," and she was like, "Can I show you something in the Bible?" And I said, so she was, when they're trying to recruit you, they have to be really quick because they have to sell you on what they're trying to get you to believe. And like, it's very quick. Like, you basically have like 2 minutes to sell this person. And so she's like showing me something in the Bible. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my goodness, I want to get away from her. But like, she was like, "Have you heard of God the Mother?" And I thought to myself, in my mind, I was kind of like, what the heck is she talking about? She starts to open the Bible. And then she goes to this verse in Genesis, where it talks about how, God made male and female. She points to this one verse. It's in Genesis, I don't remember, but it says God made them male and female. You can look it up. And, she used that verse to, back up her point that there were two gods. And I'm just sitting here like, what? Like, I'm standing there and I'm just like, okay, I have to get out of here because something's not right. And she's like smiling as she's like selling me this. And I remember, I was pretty confident at that time. I was like, you can't fool me. I said, "What church do you go to?" And guess what? Guess what happened when I asked her that question? She started laughing. What's so funny about me asking, "What church do you go to?" And then she goes, "I go to the World Mission Society of God." So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have the name of your church in my mind. I'm going to research it. And then here she goes. She's going to go in for the kill. She's going to say, "Well, can I just have your number?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, she's so aggressive. She's such an aggressive recruiter. I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my goodness, like, what the heck? This is crazy. Oh my God. For a second, I just thought to myself, like, what am I gonna do? And I just said, I took her phone, and as I was typing in my real number, you guys, once I got to the last digit, I changed it. I was like, you know what? No. I changed the number. And then after that, I fled. I quickly walked away. The Bible says, like, when you resist the devil, he will flee. That verse is so true. Like, I literally, I fled from there. I left. I fled. And, at that point, I was just in shock. I wanted to tell other people about my experience. And let me tell you guys, when you keep sharing your experiences on YouTube or whatever, even though you may think like it's not helping, like no one's watching, like please share your experiences with these cults, because people can like go on YouTube, find your video online, and they'll like listen to it. I remember I was telling this one freshman girl about what happened to me. She was in CRU at the time. And I remember like 2 weeks later, she came up to me after a CRU meeting and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you told me about what happened." And I said, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, they came up to me, you know, at the student center one day, and I was able to get out of it." And that's when it clicked in my head, like, the more we share our experiences and what we went through, the more likely people are not gonna fall for it. And, that's why I just started making these videos. Like, I don't care if it doesn't have a lot of views. Like, I'm just hoping that someone will listen to it one day and just get out of there. So yeah, I'm really glad I shared my experience and she was able to get out. And one thing I have to say is that I've been quiet for too long. And the one powerful thing everyone has is a voice. And in the past, in my childhood, like, people have tried to silence me. And I think the most important thing is we need to trust ourselves, and we need to speak up and speak out, because your voice has power. And so I'll even say this: when I looked up the World Mission Society of God online, this group, oh my goodness, I looked it up and I was like, I knew it was a cult. But then I started to see all these news articles, like, connecting it back to like sex trafficking, whatever. And I thought to myself, like, well, that's not good. That's not good at all. A lot of people are saying that it's not true, but to be honest, when you're dealing with cults, why would someone make an article about this? Like, this is just, from what I understand, from what I read in the article, like, this group, they'll baptize you in a van, and sometimes people will say that, oh, we're the World Mission Society of God, but in the end, they end up sex trafficking you, and it's just like, it's like the worst thing they could ever do. I don't know if this allegation is true, but please stay away from this group. You'll know them as the God the Mother group, but God the Mother is not real. It's just a man-made religion. And yeah, you just have to, if I'm sharing my experience with you, you have to see when someone's trying to deceive you and be manipulative. There's been too many times where someone's just been so nice to me, and because they're so nice, I can't snap out of it, because so many people have been toxic. It's like, when so many people have been toxic to you, if someone's just coming up to you and they're being really nice, are you going to be on guard? No. You're going to think to yourself, this person's nice. I'm going to listen to what they're saying. But you also need to listen to that this is too good to be true kind of thing, because pay attention to that. Okay. the International Christian Church. Um, oh my goodness. I really have to um think about, you know, like what what can what can I say about this group? Because I feel like I might just make another video about them. I think I'm just gonna make another video about them because this group is too much. But at least this video is about the World Mission Society of God, and it's about what happened in CRU. So, I'm just gonna end it here. And yeah, just please stay tuned for part 4, where I'm gonna talk about the International Christian Church, because they are just like the ICOC. In fact, they could be sister churches. The only difference is Kip McKean is at the top of this church, and the ICOC is still using Kip's theology. It's so silly. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to just get started with part 4. Bye, guys.